Hello everyone, just a quick update today so I can enthuse about something I'm reading. I wasn't expecting to. I read lots of stuff last week about the novelist and comics writer Peter David, who died last week, I think. And so I've read various pieces about his career. He's somebody whose work I was aware of because I'd read some stuff. I'd read the novelizations of Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four and some of the Batman movies, and I know he did bits of all of those. And I remember the Spider-Man novel in about 2002 being kind of definitive. I thought that is a perfect Spider-Man origin novel, and that stuff really matters to me because I'm a 70s kid who read all of those comics and believe in all of it, and the movies always seem a bit of a letdown compared with the stories in my head. And here was a novelist who took the movie of Spider-Man and turned it into something almost as good as the original comics, and I thought that was really deft and clever. I was aware of his Star Trek work. I'd read some, I think, but I don't know which. As people who've watched this channel over the last year or so, will know, Star Trek novels, original novels, are my catnip. They're my not-so-guilty secret pleasure. I can take or leave the TV shows. Jeremy watches them all the time, but I don't, and I'm not particularly bothered these days. But for some reason, the novels are something else, especially the novels that are untethered from the continuity, like the early 80s novels, especially by people like Melinda Snodgrass and A.C. Crispin. Anyway, I remembered when they were talking about Peter David that I'd read at some point the first book in this series, The New Frontier, and I read this 10 years after it came out. This series began in 1997, a spin-off series untethered from its tie-in, so it's loosely affiliated and there are cameos by characters. I mean, loosely, it fits the continuity, but it's in a separate side universe. One of chaos and warlords, a kind of almost sword and sorcery universe. That's my impression so far. Brilliant idea. And it turns out he wrote in this series for about 20 years, and there are about 20 novels. It's like finding, I don't know, a hidden cache of treasure, really. I read this in 2007, 10 years after it came out, and didn't go any further. It's quite a short 150-page novel that sets up the whole series. It introduces us to the captain, Mackenzie Calhoun, when he's a young lad 20 years before on this quite primitive world where it's about fighting and stabbing people and having hallucinations of the future. Very kind of Edgar Rice Burroughs almost. That's how the first chunk of this reads. And we meet various characters 10, 22 years before they all end up on the Excelsior in this region of space called Sector 221G. So it's all backstory in the first book, and I think that's why I left it, even though it finishes on a cliffhanger. I never read the second one. So back in 2007 when I read this, I could have gone on and enjoyed all of those then. I didn't. I do have book 2 lying around in the house. I must have picked it up at some point in a charity shop thinking, oh, that's book 2, and never went back to it because I knew I'd have to read book 1 again to find out what was going on. And discover that in book 2, our captain is being paired with a second officer who was his fiancée years before, and we gradually meet all these other characters, all larger than life, all a bit testy and a bit spiky and a bit funny, vying with each other. Lots of backstory to everybody. I always found with the TV show and the characters from the TV show, and especially in recent iterations of Star Trek that have come since this, they're a bit stiff and proper and well-behaved and a bit boring. Here you get the sense that these are dropouts and people who are just really good at what they do and cross because of various reasons. They're the kind of Generation X of Star Trek. That's what it is. The original crew and the next generation being boomers, to use the current parlance. These people in the New Frontier are Generation X. And of course, all the new TV stuff is very millennial and after in so many ways. That's really funny. Of course, that's what it is. Anyway, they're very enjoyable, and I've been just looking ahead online to see which are available to buy up for not much money. And I might have bought a couple ahead of me to be there when I need them, because I'm almost finished book 2 now. I get embroiled in series. This is what I do. I should do a video at some point about all the series I'm in the middle of reading, and series I know I'll never finish because I always keep some back for the future. But I should do that, enumerate all the things that I'm in the middle of, and there's lots and lots of series. Very reassuring. It means you could go on a journey at some point and take the next book in each series with you and always have good companions. That's the important thing about series. And this feels the same to me now. Maybe it's the right time for me to read it, and maybe prompted by the sad fact of the author's death, that's a good enough reason to launch into this universe. But I'm glad I'm enjoying it. And it allays some of the stresses that are going on in life at the moment. There's a couple of things that are a bit irksome about life at the moment that I could do without being stressed about. So disappearing into a bit of ludicrous science fiction is good for me. I was going to say something else about all of this. I don't know. Anyway, it's almost the end of May. Tomorrow's the end of May. So what I should do tomorrow is give you a roundup of what I've been reading this May. It's quite a good, eclectic, strange mix that's filled me with enthusiasm, as spring reading should. And then at some point in the next few days, I will open the next book bag, the next mystery book bag for June, and we'll see what lies ahead. And it could be anything. It could be anything that I've socked away for the future. But June is really summertime reading. I wish we still had the beach house and I could disappear down the bottom of the garden with my book bag, but it's kind of fallen in and it's no good. So my study will have to do, but that's good enough. Okay, I'm going to go. I just wanted to enthuse at you about the New Frontier and Peter David and how much fun they are. Oh, I know what I was going to say. It really reminds me of the Orville in so many ways. The snarkiness and comedy, and the fact that the captain and the first mate are exes who have to get on their new assignment. The Orville, of course, is known as a semi-parody of The Next Generation, but of course it's made by people and written by people who are clearly fans of all kinds of Star Trek, and I wonder if in the end it's closer to Peter David's universe, fictional universe. That would be interesting to know. I love the Orville. It's my favourite of all those kinds of shows in recent years. Anyway, a bit science fiction-y there today. I will talk to you again quite soon. Socks is outside, by the way. He's guarding the library outside in case anybody comes along who he doesn't like the look of. He has to vet them. Okay, goodbye. See you again soon.